When?
Hey Logan, gonna teach you how to make chicken and sausage jambalaya since you took home all the leftovers. So, I'm starting with a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, but it's really not all vegetable oil. It's got a little bit of bacon grease in it, about half and half. So I'm gonna heat that up in the pan, get it pretty hot. And to that, I'm going to add bell pepper, onion, celery, jalapeno, and garlic. So I'm going to add these 3 things. This is a medium-sized onion, almost as much celery. It was probably 3 stalks of celery, 1 large jalapeno. The green onions will go in last, so I'm going to set them over here. So this is what we're going to be cooking in the hot oil. But while we're doing that, I'm going to start the rice. And I'm going to start with a cup of rice. And I'm using Riceland natural brown rice. It normally cooks for about 35 minutes. Use any rice you want, but I like the brown rice. So I'm going to put that cup of rice in a big pot. And it calls for 2 cups of water with that. So I'm going to start here and I have chicken broth actually from where I cooked the chicken. So I got fresh chicken broth. There's 1 cup. There's 2 cups. And you can put a little bit more in if you want. I don't think it's going to be a problem. So there's the chicken broth. Now, my oil's hot, so I'm going to add the bell pepper, celery, onion, jalapeno, and last but not least, I put about 3 medium-sized garlic cloves in there. You may want more. And I'm going to stir those. They'll probably cook about probably 15 minutes anyway, depending on how hot you have it. I'm going to go ahead and add a pinch of pepper and a little salt. And I think I'll put a little salt in the rice as well. So at this point, you're pretty much just stirring your vegetables. But you can go ahead and start adding stuff to your rice pot, which one of the things you put in the rice pot, I put about a cup of verdes, medium. This one's medium. And again, it looks like about a cup. So that'll also add moisture to your, or liquid to your rice. Gotta pick stuff up off the floor. What else can I do? I can go ahead and add some Tabasco to my rice and verdes. You can add that anywhere along the way when you're cooking. That's it for now. I'm going to let that set and get back to you when I get the vegetables cooked down, and then we're going to add flour and chicken broth to the vegetable mixture. It gets a little tricky, but it's not hard. So anyway, I'll get right back at you. Okay, here we are back with live action. I have turned the heat on under the rice. The rice has 2 cups of water as called for in the directions. I put about a cup of Verdez in there, a little Tabasco salt and pepper. Now, the vegetable mixture is pretty soft, so because I started with a 1/4 cup of fat or oil, I'm putting a 1/4 cup of flour in. And this is really hot, so I did turn it down a little bit, but it's going to kind of start sticking a little bit, but I'm just kind of working that flour in there a little bit. So again, it's really starting to dry out now. This is the trickiest part, but again, it's not a big deal. So it's getting kind of dry and tacky, so I have more chicken broth here. So I'm just going to start adding that. I had another 2½ cups of chicken broth. So total I would have had about 4½ cups or so of chicken broth. And you can use water if you don't have the chicken broth. But again, I'm just adding chicken broth that I cooked my chicken in. And kind of starting to let that look a little bit more like gravy. I'll turn it up just a little bit more. So this is essentially kind of like making a roux for gumbo, but this is jambalaya, and the vegetables are now essentially in a roux. So if they didn't get cooked a whole lot, just cook them till they're soft. They'll be cooking in the rice water for probably 45 minutes anyway. So that's looking pretty good. Gonna add a little more. And again, this is really not a critical stage. I'm just kind of letting the flour absorb the liquid. And while that's doing that, I'm going to add my chicken, which that looks like a couple of cups of chicken. I'm gonna put that in my rice mixture. And I'm going to add a pound of smoked sausage that was grilled slightly. And stir that up. So again, that's pretty much it. Again, you could add more salt and pepper anywhere along the way, but this is fine. You know, if you added more chicken broth, it's not going to hurt anything. If you find in the end that your jambalaya is drier than you want, just throw some more chicken broth in there. So I'm going to add the vegetables into the rice meat mixture. Put it out here where you can see a little better. That is essentially your jambalaya. It's going to take the rice, normally according to the directions it said it cooks in 25 to 35 minutes. This is probably going to simmer for 45 minutes probably. And again, although most rice you don't peek on it, go ahead and peek on this and make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. But I'm going to go ahead and cover it. I'm going to put it back on the burner and set a timer for probably 35 minutes. But again, check it from time to time, make sure it's not sticking. But that's it. The only other thing we're going to add just before serving, we're going to add bacon bits, and I used maple flavored bacon, which is awesome. And we're going to put the bacon bits and green onion in just before serving. So, looking good. Are you rolling?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the final deal here. This is what your jambalaya is going to look like. Of course, you've been stirring it fairly frequently, but you almost have to just taste the rice to see if it's tender. And I've done that along with my assistant, and it's tender. So I'm going to put in my, I don't know, half a cup of bacon. Put in however much you want. And the green onions. And ooh, doesn't that look good? And it will still absorb water as it sets overnight or cools off or goes in the refrigerator. But after the rice came to a boil, that first hard boil where you cook rice, it cooked it another about 35 minutes. So anyway, it's ready to eat, so it'll be good.